Hello everybody, welcome to the show. Please hit the subscribe button and give this episode a thumbs up. The room was filled with bright lights, heavy microphones, and the restless hum of reporters waiting for a headline. In the middle of that chaos, the door opened and Honey BooBoo stepped in. The chatter died almost instantly. People had seen her on television laughing, dancing, making the crowd giggle. But today there was no trace of that glitter. Today she looked small under the white light, dressed simply, clutching a folded sheet of paper that shook slightly in her hand. She walked to the podium, looked around, and for a long second she didn't speak. You could hear the buzz of cameras, the scratch of pens. Then she took a deep breath. "Good afternoon," she said softly. "I know most of you came expecting a show. But this isn't a show. This is my life." The words landed heavy. She continued, "My son, Tony BooBoo, has been diagnosed with a rare neurological condition. It's something that affects his brain and his balance, and we've been fighting it quietly for months." There was a ripple through the room, shocked faces, whispered questions, but she didn't pause. When you're in the spotlight, people think everything is perfect. They see the smiles, the filters, the funny clips. But behind those clips is a little boy who wakes up dizzy, sometimes can't see straight, sometimes forgets the words he knew yesterday. Behind those laughs is a mother who sits awake all night, trying to figure out how to fix what she can't fix. Her voice cracked, but she steadied it. "This isn't pity I'm asking for. It's awareness. There are so many children like Tony whose conditions go unnoticed because they don't make headlines. But they fight every single day, quietly, bravely." She glanced toward the crowd. Few reporters put their cameras down. When you watch a story online, remember there's a real person inside that frame. Real heartbeat. A real family. Used to chase ratings. Now chase moments where my son can smile for 5 minutes without pain. The lights flickered slightly. The air felt thick. Tony's only 7. He wants to play outside, he wants to run, but sometimes his body says no. And every time he looks up at me and says, "It's okay, Mama," it breaks me and heals me at the same time. She took another breath. "We are doing everything we can. Treatments, therapies, prayers. Some days it feels like we're winning. Some days I fall apart. But we keep moving. Because that's what mothers do. We move, even when it hurts." Her hands stopped shaking now. The fear was turning into fire. If you're a parent out there watching this, hug your child tighter tonight. Health is the only kind of fame that matters. And if anyone out there has gone through this kind of fight, just know you're not alone. The room stayed silent. For once, no one shouted questions. Cameras clicked quietly like rain. Honey BooBoo looked down at her notes, folded them back into her hand, and whispered, "Thank you for listening." She stepped back from the podium, and for a second she looked up at the ceiling lights, the same lights that once made her famous. This time they made her look human. The applause that followed wasn't loud. It was soft, genuine, the sound of people who had just seen the real person behind a tabloid name. As the doors of the conference hall closed behind her, the noise of the cameras faded into a soft hum in Honey BooBoo's ears. She exhaled slowly, the tension in her shoulders releasing for the first time in weeks. Outside, the late afternoon sun painted long streaks of gold across the parking lot. Her car waited, and inside it sat Tony, resting his head against the window, earbuds in, eyes half closed. She opened the door gently. "Hey baby," she said. He smiled, tired but brave. "You did good, Mama did what had to," she replied. The drive home was quiet, just the faint sound of the road and the rhythmic clicking of the turn signal. Billboards flashed by, faces, brands, slogans, but none of them mattered anymore. All that mattered was the small hand resting on hers. Home. The cameras were gone, the lights replaced by the steady hum of the refrigerator and the faint scent of disinfectant from Tony's medications. Honey sat at the kitchen table with a folder of hospital reports. Each page carried numbers, scans, words she didn't understand. Words like lesion, seizure threshold, degeneration. She ran a finger down the paper, stopped, then looked up at the ceiling. "Please," she whispered, "just let him have a normal life." From the living room came a weak laugh. Tony was watching his favorite cartoon, the same episode he'd seen 100 times. For a moment, it sounded like any other household. She walked over, sat beside him, and the boy leaned against her shoulder. "Mama," he murmured, "you think I'll get better?" "You already are," she said. "Every day you wake up, you get stronger." Later that night, when he finally fell asleep, she stood by the window looking out at the empty street. The world outside kept spinning, news headlines flashing somewhere about the Honey BooBoo confession, but here it was silent. She thought of the years she'd spent chasing fame, how bright the lights had been, and how cold they felt now. Her phone buzzed. Messages from producers, journalists, even strangers sending love. She read a few, smiled faintly, and set it down. She wasn't looking for sympathy. She was looking for strength. She turned back toward the bedroom, looked at her son sleeping peacefully, and whispered, "Tomorrow we start again. No cameras, no microphones. Just us." Morning came with the soft beeping of the alarm and the faint light crawling across the curtains. Honey BooBoo hadn't really slept. She had only drifted in and out, listening to Tony's breathing. When she turned, he was already awake, staring at the ceiling. "Mama, do you have to go to the hospital again?" he asked quietly. She smiled, trying to sound cheerful. "Yeah, baby, just a few tests. They said you're gonna meet a new doctor. He's really nice." Tony frowned. Doctors always say they're nice. She laughed softly, ruffled his hair, and helped him sit up. The medicine bottles clinked as she lined them up on the counter. Every pill had become a ritual. One for dizziness, one for seizures, one to help him sleep. Each bottle a tiny war she fought every day. By the time they reached the hospital, the corridors were already buzzing with nurses, patients, and machines humming softly. The smell of sanitizer hit her like a wave. She checked in, signed her name, and held Tony's hand as they walked to the neurology wing. The doctor, a tall man with kind eyes, greeted them. "Good morning, Alana," he said. She appreciated that he called her by her real name, not the one everyone recognized. "Tony, we'll run some scans today." "Okay." Tony nodded bravely. "Can I still have ice cream after?" The doctor smiled. "Only if your mom says yes." As they prepped him for the MRI, Honey stood by the glass window, arms crossed, her reflection overlapping with the image of her son lying still under the machine. The rhythmic thump-thump of the scanner sounded like a heartbeat. She thought about how life had become a cycle of hospitals and hope, fear and faith. Hours later, the results came. The doctor's tone was gentle but heavy. "There's still swelling in the temporal lobe," he explained. "But the progress is steady. He's strong. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." She nodded, fighting the sting in her eyes. "Just don't want him to lose his childhood," she whispered. The doctor paused. "Then don't let the illness define it. Let love define it." Those words stayed with her. On the way home, Tony asked, "Mama, when get better, can we go to the beach?" She smiled. "We'll go wherever you want. The ocean's waiting for us." Home. She found a small envelope slipped under the door. No name. Inside a card. "You don't know me, but I watched your speech. My child had the same illness. You gave me hope. Thank you." She held it for a long time, her hands trembling. For the first time in months, she felt something beyond exhaustion, purpose. That night, she sat down at her desk and started writing. Not for the press, not for publicity, but for every parent sitting in a hospital hallway somewhere, whispering prayers into the void. That night, thunder rolled low across the horizon. Rain began to fall, soft at first, then steady, filling the small house with the smell of wet earth. Honey BooBoo sat by Tony's bed, scrolling through medical bills on her phone, the screen light reflecting off her tired eyes. The room was dim, except for the heartbeat monitor on the bedside table that blinked softly, keeping rhythm with the child's sleep. The news channels were still looping clips from her press event. Every time she opened a social app, her name trended again, Honey BooBoo's heartbreaking confession. Comment after comment, sympathy, curiosity, judgment. She shut it all off. She didn't want the world's noise inside her small circle of hope. Tony stirred in his sleep. She leaned over, brushed the damp hair from his forehead. He murmured something about the beach, about waves, about running. For a moment, her chest ached with both love and fear. She thought about the day he was born, how she'd held him under the harsh hospital lights, promising silently that she'd always protect him. That promise had become the whole shape of her life. Weeks passed like that. Hospital runs, therapy sessions, small victories. Sometimes Tony could walk the hallway on his own. Sometimes he collapsed halfway, breathless. Each night she carried him back to bed, humming the same lullaby she had sung when he was a baby. One afternoon, while she was folding laundry, her phone rang. The doctor's number. Her stomach tightened. Alana, the voice said. We need you to bring Tony in tonight. He's had some irregularities on the last scan. It might be nothing, but we want to be safe. The drive to the hospital was silent except for the wipers beating back the rain. Tony held his stuffed toy against his chest. Am I getting another test? He asked. Just a small one, she lied. You'll be home before you know it. In the emergency wing, everything smelled of antiseptic and panic. Nurses moved fast, voices calm but urgent. Honey followed as they rolled Tony's bed down the corridor, the wheels echoing in her ears. The fluorescent lights above blurred into a river of white. When they reached the observation room, a nurse stopped her gently. We'll take it from here, ma'am. Honey froze. Can't. I'm sorry, we need space for the equipment. The door closed. Through the glass, she watched them attach wires, monitors, oxygen tubes. Her breath came short, she pressed her palms together, whispering the same prayer over and over. Please. Please not now. Hours blurred into minutes. The doctor came out finally, eyes tired. He had a seizure episode, he said. We've stabilized him, but we need to keep him for observation. She nodded mechanically, tears slipping silently down her face. Can see hi. When she walked in, Tony was pale but breathing steadily. His small hand twitched as if reaching for her. She sat down beside him and took it gently. Hey baby, she whispered. You scared me again. He opened his eyes halfway. Sorry, Mama. No sorries. You're my hero. Remember she stayed there all night. The beeping of the monitors became her lullaby. Outside, dawn crept across the sky, and the city began to wake to be morning. The doctors were cautiously optimistic. He's responding, one said. He's a fighter. Honey looked at her son and smiled. Yeah, she said softly. He always has been. When Tony woke fully, he turned his head toward her. Mama, when better, can we still go to the beach? Yes, she said. We'll go. We'll build the biggest sandcastle anyone's ever seen. He smiled, then drifted back into sleep. Outside the room, journalists waited again, hoping for another quote, another emotional headline. Honey BooBoo walked past them quietly. No makeup, no performance, just a woman carrying her hope like a fragile flame. She didn't speak to the cameras. She only said, pray for him, and kept walking. The hallway stretched long and empty ahead of her. For the first time in months, she felt something settle inside. Not peace exactly, but acceptance. She couldn't control the disease, the doctors, the world. But she could control her love. And that would have to be enough. The days that followed were quieter. The hospital corridor still smelled of disinfectant, but the panic that had once gripped her chest had softened into a kind of calm routine. Honey BooBoo learned the rhythm of the machines, the way nurses slipped in and out like ghosts, the way the sunlight crossed the floor at exactly 3 o'clock. Tony was stronger. He could sit up now without help, trace circles in the air with his finger, and laugh again. Small hoarse laughs that made every nurse smile. Each sound felt like a promise. One morning the doctor said, he's stable enough to go home next week. Honey felt the breath she had been holding for months finally leave her body. She nodded, not trusting her voice. That night, when the ward was silent and the city outside hummed with traffic, she sat by his bed and told him a story. Not about fame or television or bright lights, but about the time she was little and used to dream of living by the sea. When you're better, she said, we'll go there. You'll smell the salt in the air, feel the sand under your feet. We'll forget hospitals for a while. Tony smiled, eyelids heavy. You promise, she said. When they finally returned home, the house smelled of clean sheets and new beginnings. The cameras were gone now. People had moved on to the next trending headline. The silence was a blessing. Honey started to write long, honest notes on her old laptop. Letters to other parents. Thoughts she'd never said aloud. It wasn't for fame anymore. It was therapy. Slowly, those words began to spread. Other mothers wrote back. A small online group formed. They shared fears, test results, late-night messages that simply said, you're not alone. Within months, the messages turned into a foundation. She called it the Tony Light Project. It raised funds for children with rare brain conditions, for research, for families who couldn't afford endless hospital bills. What had begun as a story of pain quietly became a story of connection. On the first anniversary of Tony's diagnosis, they finally went to the beach. The morning was clear, waves rolling in gentle arcs. Honey carried a blanket. Tony walked slowly beside her, still unsteady but smiling. The sound of the ocean filled the spaces where fear used to live. He turned to her. "Mama, this is what you dreamed, right?" "Yes," she said. "Exactly this." He ran a few steps, stumbled, then laughed. "Can run again." Honey laughed too, the sound carried away by the wind. For a few minutes they forgot doctors, headlines, everything. The sun set. She watched the horizon and thought about how far they had come. She knew life would never be perfect. There would be checkups, pills, maybe bad days. But there would also be this, the sound of waves, her son's Lao. Knowledge that she had turned pain into something that helped others. That night, when Tony slept with the sea breeze drifting through the window, Honey opened her notebook again and wrote a single line at the top of the page. "We don't choose what breaks us, but we choose what we build from the pieces." A major turning point in Lauren Pumpkin Efford's marriage is sending shockwaves through Mama June's family, and it's changing everything. On Mama June, Family in Crisis, viewers witness the severity of how June's addictions and fractured relationships with her family have impacted Lauren. After becoming the primary caretaker of younger sister Alana, Honey BooBoo Thompson, plus caring for her own children with husband Josh Efford, Lauren's marriage finally took such a hard hit, the couple divorced. Now, in the wake of this pivotal shift in Lauren's personal life, June's relationship with her daughters is evolving too, revealing long-buried tensions and surprising moments of solidarity. Alana and her mother have seemingly come a long way since filming Season 7 of Family Crisis. The pair were still in a rocky place at the beginning of the season, with Alana still airing her grievances with her mother to her followers online and with her friend on camera. But the mother and daughter recently spoke to In Touch prior to the premiere of the season, and it was clear that the pair were at least united in support of Lauren's choice to end her marriage. Although Alana admitted that Josh had stepped in as a father figure for her in the years she had lived with her sister's family, she felt she had to support her sister's decision. She admitted at one time she hoped they would fix it, as they had in the past when confrontation arose, but she eventually realized her sister wasn't happy and needed the change. June, on the other hand, felt that the couple were bound to separate, pointing out the awareness that came to the family after the loss of her daughter, Anna Marie, Chickadee Tony, to cancer in 2023. June noted everyone in the family then became aware of what had been placed on the back burner in their lives. Although there is still tension between Alana and June in Season 7, it is nice to see that the mother has taken small strides to repair the relationship she has with her daughters. In April 2021, Lauren told In Touch that her mother's behavior was the main issue in her marriage. Now that the marriage is broken beyond repair, there is room for June to make amends for the damage she once caused by continuing to support her daughter through this time of transition. June has been sober since 2020, and has recently featured her weight loss transformation in Family Crisis, which, after all, used to be titled Mama June. From Not to Hot, with the original premise of the series meant to focus on the matriarch's weight loss journey, before the family crisis erupted. June also took the tentative first steps to repairing her relationship with her daughters in the most recent episodes of Season 7, who have grown wary of their mother's tempestuous approach to conflict management. June demonstrated in recent episodes of Family Crisis that she is willing to take steps toward repairing her relationship with her daughters, signaled by returning part of the funds she had appropriated from Alana's savings as a child actor. Although June made a show of arranging a large check to present to her daughter, as though she had won a prize, instead of accepting replacement funds for what had been stolen, it was at least a small olive branch to her youngest daughter. With the return of the funds, and her support for Lauren's choice to divorce and start over, June has been building back trust in her relationships with her children. June recently showing a united front with Alana in support of Lauren indicates the family dynamic may have she upcoming 100th episode of Mama June. Family Crisis centers around Lauren Pumpkin Efford's choice to divorce her husband, Josh Efford. The episodes leading up showed a frustrated Josh attempting to initiate conversations, and a fed-up Lauren prioritizing her newly developed business instead of responding to him. The gradual dissipation of their relationship seems related to the crisis the family has been in since Lauren's mother, Mama June Shannon, was arrested on drug-related charges in 2019. Alana, Honey BooBoo Thompson was lucky to have had Lauren step in during this period, to act as a mother to her younger sister, making sure she flipped the script on the family history, got settled into high school, and applied for nursing school after graduation. Just as June is lucky that her adult daughters have agreed to continue filming the family series together. Without Alana and Lauren, there would only be a crisis, without the family. Alana's narrative about her new relationship and career path, and Lauren's budding business and failing marriage, make up the heart of the series. June's unrepentant attitude about past behavior is not tracking well this season, but her daughters have enough going on to keep viewers invested. Much of the tension this season has revolved around Alana's accusation that June had stolen the $30,000 the young reality star had earned from her season on Dancing with the Stars. This, in addition to the fact that Alana claims she hasn't seen any compensation for her hours of reality TV as a child performer on Toddlers and Tiaras or Here Comes Honey Boo Boo. While acknowledging she owed Alana $30,000, June claimed that the other funds were used to raise her daughter. The way that June handled the return of the funds shows just the intensity of the strain. Alana had initially provided her mother a grace period to return the money, but after some time had passed, the young reality star turned to social media to vent her frustrations. June took this as bait, immediately flying into a rant about her daughter airing family laundry online. The matriarch did set up a meeting to return the money to her daughter, who needed it for her education, but the details of the meeting showed a lack of maturity. Bringing a giant check, as though Alana had somehow won the money, and forcing her daughter to take a photo with the check to make sure it could be posted for followers online to see the amount had been repaid, showed that June is better at creating moments of conflict than she is at repairing connections on Mama June. Family crisis. Lauren fought to get custody of her younger sister Alana, and through different tragedies, the older sister patiently worked to keep the family together, and to keep Alana on track to follow her career goals after high school. The family crisis, including the loss of their eldest sister, Anna Chickadee Cardwell, to cancer in 2023, also put strains on Lauren's marriage. While Josh was a solid partner throughout much of Lauren's family crisis, his frustration with their situation fed into the downfall of their relationship, since Lauren seemed to always be stuck trying to do the right thing amid the impossible situation she was put in by June. While it is nice to see that the couple have seemingly sorted out a civil co-parenting